doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you as well. So today we're going to be talking about your upcoming film that it's Glendora. That you are it's a documentary based off a community in Mississippi. Now, my first upcoming question would be, what inspired you to show the people about this African American community?
I did another project for 5 years prior to this one in Mississippi. And so it was my first introduction to very small African American communities. And I shared in the life and I learned so much and I discovered so much. I was like, oh, I need to dig in because that first story was around wrongful convictions. So it was a precise topic somehow. And I discovered a depth of wealth, ways of life, philosophies of life. And I researched a very small community that was even more insulated. And also by this insulation, surrounded by structural issues, because I really wanted to show who the people were, what the stories were before they disappeared, create a record of that, and also collaborate with everybody so I could show, uh, have that space for them to express their own selves and their stories and their enterprises and their talents.
Amazing. And was it challenging to be able to get like the consent of like the community members? Being the fact that you're telling all of their stories, and throughout the film there is a lot of mentions that um there is like, there is good people in the community, and then there is like not the best people in the community. How was it to collaborate with them, and how was it difficult to get their consent to be able to do this project?
Oh, it was very organic. I hit it off with quite a few people that you became very important participants in the film. I think people did want to tell their story. Also, they are my co-collaborators. I'm doing the filmmaking part, but it's their stories, it's their lives. So they are my co-authors. So in that sense, it's theirs as much, you know. So in terms of consent, some say no, of course. I have a lot of friends there that are not on camera because they don't like being on camera. And maybe some at the beginning had other reservations because they don't know me, they don't know what I'm doing, and that's fine. But I spent a lot of time, so many people also got to know me and came around, and as I say, many people uh, also participated in other ways, behind the scenes. So it was all very organic, and the consent, I think it's because of this friendship that we built, and also because they know it's about them. It's just about them, and it's their own representation. That's what I'm hoping for, really.
I really do see, when I finished watching the film, I did see how, even though you structured the film as a story, it you can feel the passion of all these people in their community, and not only their passion, how some of them don't want to leave because there's so much history behind where they live. One of the stories that like I really loved to hear was, I don't remember her name, but it was this um lady that her house was built by her father, and then when everything was starting to like get sold off, her father was able to keep their land and their house, and that's why she's still there. That's so powerful in how people connect with where they live and where their history comes from, right? And my upcoming question with this is, I did notice that you are a photographer, and while I was trying to see if I could find like more history like in your as a filmmaker, I couldn't find that much. Is this your first like film that you're making for like your first film project?
Yes, it is.
And how does it feel that this is your first project, being the fact that you have worked in countless other projects as a photographer. I have here that you have been in many like um I see museums, magazines, and newspapers as well. Plus, you have a book as well. And but how does it feel that you have done all of this for so long, and now you made yourself to take a challenge and become a filmmaker?
My work over the years, like you just mentioned, it shifted, and it shifted more and more towards social issues. And again, when I met Levon Brooks and Kennedy Brewer from my book project that you just mentioned in Mississippi, the experience I was living there, I wanted the audience to share. And I've been wanting to film already for that. And I felt that filming would be the only way that I could really convey my own experience, the music, uh, the way people organize things, the way people think, the atmosphere of the town, the noises, the voices of the people. It's such an alive place and community that I felt, ooh, this one I need to film. And it's kind of a natural sidestep, I feel, for photographers at some point, especially if you do documentary. It felt natural to just go to that step and be able to like bring the people to life for other people to have the experience I have when I sit with Miss Florida talking about her connection to her land, or Bucci about his music. I felt that would be the most efficient way would be to film.
There was one of the things that in the documentary that caught my eye. It's a film that I have not yet watched. It's a story that I have already read before. But you do mention in, I think it's like going right in the middle of the film, you do mention about um the situation, or not the situation, what happened with Emmett Lewis Till in Mississippi. What inspired you to connect their stories with this situation that happened to this kid that was falsely accused for looking, for what they said, that he was looking wrongly to a white woman, and then he was falsely accused. What's the connection with this community and that story?
So the lynching of Emmett Till in 1955 happened in a couple of communities that are very close to Glendora. And many of the details, the exact details of this horrible lynching, are not known because he was driven around, kidnapped in money, which is not far from Glendora, and then brought to a plantation in Drew, which is also very close to Glendora. And some say then his body was thrown over a bridge in Glendora, weighted down by the cotton gin fan. So this whole area in the Delta has a connection with Emmett Till tragedy, but also with his killers. The two guys one of them had a store in town in Glendora, and one of them, they lived in the area. They were
Mhm.
so the connection is there, and unfortunately, it's haunting the area, this area in the Delta where it happened. And Mayor Thomas, I think in around 2005, because for years nobody talked about that there. Dead silence, radio silence about this
Yeah.
tragedy. Although it did trigger the civil rights movement in some ways because of the way that it was handled by Mamie Till, his mom in Chicago, with the open casket and everything. So Mayor Thomas finally decided to build a little museum, so to dedicate it to the memory of Emmett Till. So it's right in town, and like that, his legacy, he's right in town. And like he says in the film, we can't forget about it. And it's a connection that is there and that seeps through today in some other ways.
I completely agree that his legacy and his story should be continuously said, because it still happens nowadays. So Isabel, this will be my final question for you today. If you could describe Glendora with one word, what would it be?
beautiful.
Yeah, I completely agree with that word. So Isabel, thank you so much for giving us the time to talk about Glendora, and I hope everybody feels touched as I did when I finished watching the film. And hope you have a great day.
Thank you very much.